This pasture was a whole entire summer worth of work.
Why do I think goats are the #1 animal when building and restoring a homestead? Well, because they can help you create and build pasture faster than I think any other animal. Now, you're saying, well, how do they build pasture? Well, actually, they will convert your bramble, your brush, the junk that is just growing, they'll convert it into manure, which will land on the ground, and that will feed the pasture and the seed bank that you have existing, that you don't even know is there. It's all there. You don't need anything else. You don't need anything fancy. All you need is goats and maybe some machinery. If you watch somebody like Sow the Land, they even brought a big forestry mulcher in and they mulched a ton of the junk that was growing on their new property. I believe that if you're going to build or restore an old homestead, one of the best things you can do is have goats. I also think goats are the worst animal for a homestead, but that's another video.
Welcome to A Simple Life. Today, we are clearing the area that the goats cleared for us earlier in the winter. Now, you're saying, but they didn't clear at all. Well, they're not gonna eat the stalks of the blackberry, but what they do is they weaken the overall plant by eating the leaves off and eating the buds off early in the spring. It makes it so that way the plant's weaker. And then when I come in and I do this to it, or I just leave the goats in there for a longer amount of time or continuously put them in there over and over again, it will kill the plant off. I wanna have this clean along the property line because eventually I wanna fence this. The reason for fencing this is because I wanna be able to set up pastures up against it. So this will help me keep my goats from going on other people's property. The goats are up there right now grazing. Actually, here they come. They heard me running some machinery, so they're coming right now to see if there's anything to munch on. I'm gonna show you the result of 2 years worth of land management on a pasture. Well, at the time it wasn't a pasture, it was about 12 to 16 feet tall blackberry bramble. This pasture was nothing but tall blackberry bramble. And I have not planted a single bit of seed in here, not a single bit. We have clover popping up. There's some right here. We got all kinds of grasses. We got weeds, we got all kinds of stuff, dandelions. We still have some blackberry right there. See, there's blackberry. And that's okay. That'll all be managed by the goats. The goats are gonna manage all this for me. The only thing I'm gonna do in here is let the goats in. And this is, I mean, to give you an idea, this is plush. Sure, there's some bald spots and stuff like that, but what do you expect on a pasture that had somewhere between 8 and 16 feet, 12 and 16 feet worth of blackberry bramble in it? I remember cutting the trail in, and I didn't have video stuff at the time. I took a couple photos, but the trail I cut in, I started down here along the fence, went all the way along the fence, and then I cut right along here, along the top of this ridge. And to give you the idea, see how these tree branches have blackberry bramble, all of this old dry stuff all the way up? That's how tall it was. We're talking, that's 12 feet tall up there. So right up there, that's about 12 feet tall. So through this whole entire thing, I cut a machete, a hedge trimmer, and a chainsaw. Now, I didn't have an excavator at the time. I didn't have any way to know what this terrain looked like, so I didn't want to bring a tractor or anything back here because I didn't know what it looked like. All I knew is it just fell off a cliff at some point. No idea, because it was so thick you couldn't tell, and there was no way. I didn't have a drone. I didn't have any way to really get a lay of the land, so I just cut a path in. And then I turned the goats loose in here, and I cut down trees. I cut down all this material. This was all cut down during that summer. I cut down and dropped right on top of the blackberry bramble. Anything that was unhealthy, that didn't seem like it was gonna live very much longer, I dropped right down. So I left stuff like this, the madrone, you know, some of these other Doug firs that they were healthy, they were in good shape. Some of the oaks that were healthy, in good shape, I left those. But then, once the goats were done, I came in with an excavator and I pushed it all into about 4 or 5 piles, and I burned it. And that has been the last time I've been in here. It's a little over an acre. It goes down and up this way. It's all great pasture land. that I would have never had unless I got in here and did the work. Now look what I have. And yeah, there's stumps in here and there's weedy bits, but you know what? This is a great spot to put goats in, to put sheep in. You could put almost just about anything you want on this land that I just cleared. You could put cows in here. This is not too hilly for cows. It's not too hilly. You could put horses in here if you got rid of the stumps and some of the other stuff, just so that way there wouldn't be any issue. Not that horses are so dumb they'd run into it. They're not. They're very smart animals. But I just wanted to show you this. I wanted to show you what pasture land can look like even when it looks horrific and you don't see anything there. And I didn't have to do any planting. I didn't have to do anything other than just clear the land. And this is crazy. See how dark the grasses are right here? That's because this is where the goats graze. And that's just from peeing and pooing. Here's some other spots over here. You can see the darkness. Now some of this is weeds too, but here, check out this. What is that? Well, that's clover. I didn't plant clover. That's the seed bank coming alive. When you disturb the soil, when you expose the soil, Mother Nature wants to cover up. If you have good, nutritious soil, then your grasses will grow. If you have hard, compacted soil, you'll end up with all kinds of weird weeds. And you're like, why would weird weeds grow in compacted soil? Well, because the weeds grow just like the grasses grow where they do best. Some weeds just do great on compacted soil. Some plants do great on loose, acidic soil or base soil or whatever it is. Right here is an area that has been grazed in years. I mean, we're talking probably 10, 15 years since animals were up here and grazing this area on a regular basis. That's why the blackberry bramble was somewhere between 8 and 12 feet tall or so. Well, the soil that whole entire time was just building up nutrients. So now I have great grasses growing in here. And the cool part is my goats come in and graze this on a semi-regular basis. Now, how do I know it's semi-regular? The grasses are just nipped. There's some nipped grasses, some more nipped grasses. They're coming in and they're just nipping the grass, tops of the grasses off. They're just getting some of the yummy stuff and moving on. And they've been doing that all spring. They did it all last year, and they'll do it as long as I keep them in this area. The idea for my goats is to use them to keep invasive species down and also to use them to clean my fence lines. All right, we're gonna get back over. The boys have been monitoring our burn pile that's going right now. It's getting dark, but the burn pile should be out pretty quickly. It was a lot of really dry stuff, and with that dry stuff, it usually just goes. It goes pretty quick once it gets piled up right. So we just came through and I just ran the excavator over this, pushed everything together and pushed it down here to a nice clear area that had plenty of space around it. So I didn't have to worry about anything happening, fire spreading or anything like that. We are done for the night. The boys have come and helped me. I'm pretty sure they're hungry and they want some food. And I'm ready for some dinner as well. It was a nice long day at work. And now we came up here, we got a little bit of work done. Got this cleaned up. Thank you so much for joining us on A Simple Life. I'm gonna get the boys home so they can have some dinner. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Bye.